Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are wading into some seriously dark, really high stakes waters. I want you to imagine a city skyline for a second. You've got all the standard modern trappings, glass penthouses, high-speed elevators, people on tablets checking stock prices. It all feels pretty familiar, right?
Totally.
But now I want you to overlay that image with a reality where the families running those corporations aren't just like CEOs. They are warlords of ancient houses. They
Totally.
sign contracts in blood, and in the shadows of those skyscrapers, there are these things called horned gods who basically treat humans like cattle.
It creates such a jarring and I think really effective dissonance. We're so used to fantasy being relegated to a medieval setting.
Right, mud and castles.
Exactly. Mud, castles, torches. Or if it is urban fantasy, it's usually kind of hidden away in the alleys, right? It's away from the public eye. But here, the magic is sitting right in the boardroom.
It's wearing a bespoke suit.
It really is.
Exactly. It's slick, it's modern, but underneath all that, it's archaic and incredibly violent. We are looking at Caged by Fallen Crows Part 1 by Ava Larksen.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be really clear about our mission for this deep dive. On the surface, if you just read the blurb, this looks like a romance novel.
It does.
The classic enemies to lovers trope. But when you actually start peeling back the layers of this source material, what we're really looking at is, it's a case study in biological warfare, intergenerational trauma, and full-blown political insurgency.
That is a very fair assessment. The romance of the vehicle, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the engine that's driving this entire narrative is this incredibly complex web of magical hierarchy.
For sure.
You've got the Crowther family. They're ruthless, they're militaristic, incredibly tightly knit.
And then you have the Weakthorns.
Yes, the Wickthorns, politically dominant, super secretive, and just, astronomically wealthy.
And the spark that lights the fuse between these two massive powers.
The kidnapping.
The kidnapping. But not a normal one. We aren't just looking at a boy kidnaps girl scenario here. This is man kidnaps a walking biological weapon.
Which is exactly where we have to start. The core conflict isn't just political. It is, at its heart, biological.
Okay, so let's jump right into segment 1. The core conflict. We pick up in the immediate aftermath of the capture. Nell Wickthorn has been taken. She's dragged into the Crowther estate, specifically into a room they call the family room.
Which, as the text notes, is a serious euphemism.
Oh, totally.
Looks much more like a war room.
Right. You've got maps on the walls with these red slashes through territories, racks of weapons, swords, these things called war scythes, crossbows. But then, and I love this detail from your notes, there is this really striking contrast right there on the fireplace mantle.
Yes. Amidst all this lethal, gleaming steel, there are these little clay animals and wobbly toy cars, clearly made by children. It's such a crucial visual juxtaposition. It tells us everything we need to know about the Crowthers right away.
That they're a family.
They are a family unit that loves their children, but they are also warlords. They are killers who keep their kids' art right there on the mantle.
And into this room walks Nell Wickthorn, terrified but still defiant. And this is where the big revelation happens. Grayson Crowther, he turns to his family, who are all just confused about why he's brought her there, and he drops the bomb and just says, "Wickthorn's a worm."
And the reaction in the room is just pure, unadulterated shock. His Aunt Valerie, she can't believe it. She says something like, "How can that be? They are beasts." Because in this world, worms are historically these, massive, mountain-destroying monsters.
Okay, we need to pause on whim. Because in most fantasy, you hear worm, you think dragon, right?
Right.
Usually a big lizard breathing fire on a village. But the text treats this so differently. This isn't really a shapeshifter story, is it? She doesn't just poof into a dragon.
No, and that's a vital distinction for you to grasp. Nell doesn't turn into a dragon. In this lore, a worm is this ancient, catastrophic spiritual entity. It's almost like a parasite or maybe a symbiote that lives inside a human host.
Wow.
It has its own consciousness. It's described as being adolescent, temperamental, and just full of rage.
So she's a vessel. She's basically a containment unit for a nuclear bomb that has a personality.
Exactly. And the leakiness of that containment is incredibly dangerous.
Yeah.
We learned that just before her capture, she's swifted.
And that's the teleportation mechanic?
Yes, but it's violent. It's not clean.
Yeah.
She breathes fire and moonlight. The text describes it as cracking the world.
So not a silent poof and she's gone.
Not at all. It's a terror in reality.
Yeah.
And Grayson, he's the only reason she didn't just burn everything to the ground during that escape attempt.
Because he is the tamer. Now, I want to challenge the romance aspect here for a second.
Yeah.
Usually soulmates is this kind of fluffy concept, oh, we were made for each other. But this sounds more like, well, like functional biology, like a lock and a key.
That is exactly how you should be viewing it. It's not romantic in the traditional sense. It's a biological imperative. The tamer is the grounding rod for the Wyrm's electricity.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Without a tamer, a Wyrm eventually goes insane or destroys its host. The text mentions they've always had this hyper-awareness of each other. They could just feel each other in a crowded room.
Which they probably mistook for like intense hatred or maybe attraction, but it was actually their DNA or their magic DNA, I guess, just screaming at each other.
Precisely. And that right there creates the tragedy of their situation. Grayson admits it. He says, we are Wyrm and tamer. He knows he is the only person on Earth who can help her manage this monster inside her.
But he's also her kidnapper.
But he is also her kidnapper. He has to weigh this bone-deep, cosmic connection against his duty to his family.
I was cleaved in two. That's a line Grayson thinks to himself later. He's just torn between his duty to his family and this insane connection to Nell. But he makes his choice, and that leads us directly to the collar.
The collar of Zrenith. This is the physical manifestation of Grayson's betrayal, at least in Nell's eyes.
It's a magical rope, right? That's how it's described.
Yes, Zrenith's rope. It creates a barrier. It basically cuts Nell off from the Wyrm's power.
Yeah.
Effectively, it neuters her. But the really heartbreaking detail from the source text is that Grayson didn't actually force it on her.
No, she put it on herself.
He couldn't bring himself to do it. His hands were shaking so badly. So to save him the pain, which is just wild, considering he's kidnapping her.
It's insane.
She puts it on herself. It's this moment of incredibly twisted intimacy. She hates him. He's actively ruining her life, but she still instinctively protects him from his own guilt.
And once that thing is on, it is on. We see later in the text when Nell is locked up in the tower, she tries everything to get it off. She tries a butter knife.
Which is a valiant effort.
Brave effort, Nell, for sure. But she also eventually gets her hands on a real magical dagger, Zrenith's dagger.
Which should work. I mean, it's forged by the same god. It's the matching set, basically. But Pen, the servant, she reveals the catch.
What's the catch?
Only a Crowther wielding a dagger can cut it.
Ugh. That is such a power move by the magic system itself. It just reinforces that she is literally their property now. She is entirely 100% at their mercy.
It completely establishes the power dynamic for the rest of this part of the story.
Yeah.
She's caged, the Wyrm is silenced, and the Crowthers, and only the Crowthers, hold the key.
But we have to ask the question, why? Why go to these insane lengths? Why kidnap the daughter of the head of all the houses, risking total all-out war?
Right.
That brings us to segment 2, the Crowther family dynamics. And honestly, this is where the story goes from being a kind of action thriller to a really heartbreaking family drama.
It really, really does.
Yeah.
To understand the why, you have to look at the prologue. We get this flashback to 12 years ago.
I loved this scene. It's so normal. It's Grayson and his little brother Jet, and they're just playing Guess Who. It's such a cute, normal sibling moment. They're bickering, they're cheating at the game.
It humanizes them immediately. It shows you they weren't born as monsters, they're just kids. But then the trauma hits. Jet has a seizure.
And it's not a normal medical seizure. He screams out, "Mom, it's broken. I think her spine is too."
This is the critical lore drop. This is huge. Jet is his mother's shadow. They share this unique biological link. He physically feels her pain.
So if she breaks a bone.
He feels the break. If she is tortured, he feels the torture.
And we find out the mother, Tabitha Crowther, was abducted by the Horn Gods 12 years ago. The official story that everyone believes is that she died. The other houses think she is dead. But the Crowthers know the truth.
Because Jet is still suffering.
That's horrifying. Just imagine 12 years of that, watching your little brother writhe on the floor in agony, knowing it's happening to your mother somewhere else right now.
It is a continuous living nightmare, and it reframes every single action Grayson takes. He isn't being greedy. He's not power hungry. He is living in a state of constant, desperate emergency.
Of course.
He needs to find his mother to save her, yes,
Yeah.
but also to save Jet. If she dies, Jet likely dies from the shock. If she keeps suffering, Jet keeps suffering. It's an endless loop of pain.
So this isn't about greed at all. It's not about power. They are just completely desperate. They need to find her.
Precisely. This is the engine driving the entire plot. Every ruthless thing the Crowthers do, kidnapping Nell, threatening war, it's all to stop their mother's suffering and, by extension, Jet's.
And that leads directly to the plan. They've grabbed Nell, But they aren't asking for money, are they? They want something very specific from her father, Byron Wickthorn.
They want an artifact called Brangwyn's Jarte.
Jarte, like H-J-A-R-K-E, like heart.
Likely, yes. It's a relic of an ancient warlord. It's something only the head of all houses would possess. The Crowthers believe that if they can get this artifact, they can use it, maybe to trade, maybe to use its power, to get to the Horned Gods and finally find Tabitha.
But to get it, they have to break Byron. And the only way to break Byron Wickthorn is to threaten Nell.
It's a moral gray area, that is. I mean, it's almost pitch black. Grayson hates it. He admits he hates using Nell. But when you weigh it against his mother's 12 years of nonstop torture, he chooses his mother.
My mother or Nell, that's the choice that just haunts him. Okay, let's move to segment 3. Political warfare. Because Byron Wickthorn does show up at the Crowther estate, and he is furious.
And rightly so. I mean, he thinks his daughter is dead.
Oh, that's right, because there was that whole changeling thing involved, wasn't there?
Yes, let's clarify that, because it's a bit confusing. There was this initial skirmish. The Crowthers tried to claim Nell on her birthday, but it turned out there was a changeling, a magical fake Nell involved. So Byron thought the real Nell had either died or maybe killed herself to escape.
So when he shows up, he's not just an angry father. He's a grieving father who is ready to burn the entire world down.
Exactly. And Grayson has to play this game of, like, 4D chess. He meets Byron in his office. He's covered in soot and blood from the battle. And he has to somehow convince Byron that Nell is alive, but also that she is his prisoner and that he's in control.
And here's where the legal magic comes in again. The Alvarac.
That sounds ominous.
It is.
It's a marriage contract, essentially, but a terrifying one. It gives Grayson absolute authority over Nell. And the key detail Grayson uses to just hammer Byron with is that it was signed in blood.
So legally, in the eyes of their magical law, Nell is Grayson's property. There's nothing her father can do.
Correct. And Grayson leans into this role of the villain so hard. He tells Byron, I can do whatever I feel like to her. He taunts him, describing how Nell is locked away in some dark dungeon, terrified.
Which is a complete lie. She's in his luxury penthouse tower.
It is a lie, but it's a necessary one to break Byron. He needs Byron to be terrified and desperate, so he'll hand over the artifact without a fight. But there is a twist in this meeting. Grayson realizes something important about Byron.
That Byron already knew Nell was a worm.
Yes. Byron didn't kill Nell when she was born, which is what the protocol would have demanded for a so-called monster. He hid her secret. He protected her his entire life.
Which proves he loves her.
Exactly.
And if he loves her, he can be leveraged.
It's a weakness Grayson exploits with just surgical ruthlessness. If Byron didn't care, Grayson would have no leverage at all. But there's another player in this political game we absolutely have to mention. The Pellins.
Ugh, the Pellins. Aldert Pellin and his son Dan. These guys seem like the absolute worst.
They are the secondary antagonists, but they're crucial to the plot. It turns out the Crowthers weren't the only ones trying to steal Nell. Dan Pellin had actually managed to kidnap her first.
Right, just before the Crowthers got to her. And Dan is missing now, presumed dead.
And Grayson tells everyone, including Dan's father Aldert, that he dealt with Dan. He heavily implies that he killed him to protect his property, meaning Nell.
But the truth is way cooler. Nell swifted Dan into a void. She basically dimension dumped him.
She did. She yeeted him into another dimension. But Grayson takes the credit for it. And why? Why would he do that?
Because if people knew Nell could do that,
they'd figure out she's a worm. By taking the blame for Dan's disappearance, Grayson is actually protecting Nell's secret from the rest of the world.
Even while he's holding her hostage, the layers to this relationship are just insane. He takes the heat for a murder he didn't commit to protect the secret of the woman he's currently holding hostage.
It is the absolute definition of complicated. But all of this, this house squabbling, it all pales in comparison to the real threat in this world, the Horned Gods.
Okay, let's zoom out to the scariest part of this world. Segment 4. The meeting with Ciro. Who or what is Ciro?
Ciro is a horned god, and the text gives us this incredibly vivid description of his domain. He lives in a penthouse in Ascendria, the main city, and it's this jarring mix of ultra-modern luxury and just ancient nightmare.
Describe the atrium. I love this part.
Okay, so you have a cathedral ceiling, massive skylights, expensive Italian tiles on the floor, but then in the corners, you have these silky nests of spectral webbing with giant, horrifying spiders, and there are wraith wolves just stalking the perimeter.
That's terrifying. And Ciro himself?
He looks young, handsome, completely human. He wears a bespoke suit, looks like a tech CEO, but he's ancient, and he has an old woman who just follows him around everywhere.
The text implies she's not just some old woman, though. She's his battery,
Yeah,
right?
essentially. She was once young. Ciro drains the life force of his familiars to maintain his own youth and power. She is a crone now, nearly used up. It's just this chilling reminder of what these gods do to mortals. They consume us.
So the Crowthers, that's Grayson, his dad Varen, and poor Jet are summoned to meet with Ciro. And this isn't a friendly chat. This is practically an interrogation.
It is. Ciro wants to know who attacked his convoy of tithes.
Tithes being people, souls.
Stolen souls, yeah.
Yeah.
People being trafficked to the horned gods for whatever purpose they have. And the great irony here is that it was Jet who attacked the convoy.
Wait, Jet, the kid who's barely standing up, the one who feels his mom's pain.
Yes. We find out Jet attacked the convoy to save a mortal girl he saw, a girl named Red. He couldn't stand to see her taken. So he is the very culprit that Ciro is looking for.
But he's standing right there, and he's injured from the fight.
He is. He has this rotting, purple, necrotic wound on his side. And this is the highest tension point in the entire source material so far. Jet and Grayson have to lie to the face of a god who can probably sense deceit.
They spin this crazy story about necromancy, right? They say these not-quite-alive things attacked the convoy.
Dead brought back to life. They basically invent a boogeyman to distract Ciro from the truth. But the physical evidence, Jet's wound, is the real problem.
The Gestalt bolt.
This is a deep cut of lore. Ciro immediately identifies the wood from Jet's wound. He says it's from the Gestalt tree.
Which was born from a goddess's tears of hatred.
Correct. The goddess Skalki. And the wood from that tree is the only thing that can kill a horned god.
So if Jet was hit by this bolt, and he's a Crowther, who we know have some kind of healing abilities, he should be healing, but he's not. He's rotting.
To hide the specific nature of the rot, which would reveal way too much, Grayson actually shot Jet himself.
Wait, what? He shot his own brother?
Before the meeting, to mask the original wound. Grayson shot Jet with a regular crossbow bolt. Then, during the meeting, he injects Jet with a witch-rot elixir to stop the rotting in real time, right in front of Ciro.
He shot his own brother to save him.
He literally tells him, point to where it's going to hurt the most. It's brutal, it's pragmatic, but it's love. And it works. Ciro seems to believe the story. He believes there's this third party, a faction called the Children of the Harbinger, out there with God-killing weapons.
And Cyril buys it. Just like that.
He seems to. Or at least he finds the threat of the Harbinger far more pressing than blaming the Crowthers for a failed tithe mission.
Yeah.
He even gets this moment of, benevolence.
Yeah, let's talk about how he treats Aldert Pellin in this meeting. Aldert tries to interrupt him, right? He's all puffed up.
Aldert is incredibly arrogant. He thinks he's important because his family manufactures drugs for the gods. He interrupts Ciro, demanding justice for his missing son, Dan.
And Ciro just chokes him without touching him.
With silver threads of power. He just constricts his throat from across the room. It establishes the hierarchy perfectly. Horned gods are on top, then the great houses, then everyone else. Aldert is completely terrified and humiliated.
It's such a power flex. But then Ciro turns his attention to Grayson and, by extension, to Nell. And this is where it gets really, really creepy.
He asks about the witch's ball.
Which leads us nicely into our next couple of segments. But first, let's check in on Nell. Segment 5. Nell's imprisonment. Grayson told her dad she was in a dark dungeon. Where is she actually being kept?
She's in Grayson's personal quarters. At the very top of a skyscraper, the Crowther Tower.
And it's not exactly a cell, is it?
No, not at all. It's a luxury apartment. It's windowless, which is key, but it's high-end. Ebony wood, soft carpets, a sunken bath. But there's a really telling detail about the bed.
It looks like a bird cage.
The posts of the bed curve inward over the top. It's symbolism just smacking you right in the face. She is a bird in a gilded cage.
And she's not alone up there. She has a jailer, Penn.
Penn is fascinating. She's a servant, seemingly mortal, no family name, which Nell finds strange. But she's incredibly formidable. There's this great scene where Nell tries to attack her with a butter knife.
I love this scene. Nell is so desperate, she grabs a butter knife. It's the only possible weapon she can find. And she just lunges.
And Penn disarms her instantly. Just boom, done. She says something like, it's a butter knife, not exactly the world's deadliest weapon.
It shows Nell is completely outmatched. But it also shows her spirit, She's still fighting. At least At first she is.
That's the tragic progression we see. Initially, she fights. She hits Grayson. She attacks Penn. She searches the entire room for any kind of weapon. She even tries to saw off the collar with that Zreneth's dagger.
Which fails.
It fails completely. And that failure, I think, is what finally breaks her. We see this rapid decline in her mental and her physical state.
It's the separation from the worm, isn't it? That's what's causing it.
Yes. The text mentions she feels hollow. The worm is her vitality, her life force. Without that connection, she just starts to wither away. She sleeps constantly. She refuses to eat. She develops this awful, racking cough.
She's literally dying of a broken heart or a broken bond.
It's both psychological and physiological. She feels orphaned, is the word the book uses.
There's a moment where Fern, Grayson's sister, comes in to see her. Fern brings her clothes.
Ferne is sort of the nice Crowther. You can tell she feels incredibly guilty about all of this. Nell tries to use that. She pleads with her. It says, this is wrong.
And Fine just flees. She can't handle the guilt, but she also won't defy her family. Nell is just completely and totally isolated.
And that isolation is compounding the trauma. She spends days just pacing or sleeping.
Yeah.
Such a stark contrast to the chaotic violence of the outside world that Grayson is dealing with.
Speaking of the outside world, let's talk about the endgame, segment 6, the Witch's Ball. This is what everything seems to be building toward.
The Witch's Ball is this gathering of the magical elite. It's basically an auction house for rare magical creatures and powerful items.
And the Crowthers need to get in. Why?
To find their mother. They believe the key to finding Tabitha lies with a specific horned god who will be at this ball. But you can't just, buy a ticket.
You have to offer a prize for appraisal.
Exactly. To get an invite, you have to be selling something incredibly valuable.
And Nell is the prize.
This is Grayson's ultimate dilemma. Cyril explicitly tells Grayson, I wouldn't mind a bite of her. He all but threatens to bid on her himself.
That is just sickening. Cyril wants to buy Nell.
Cyril sees her as a delicacy. He remembers her as a spirited child from when she was young. He wants to consume her literally or metaphorically, but probably both.
So Grayson is stuck. To save his mom, he has to put Nell on an auction block where monsters like Cyril will be bidding on her.
Cleaved in two. That is the recurring theme for him. Grayson is being forced to sell the woman he has feelings for, the woman he is biologically bonded to actual monsters.
And where is Grayson while Nell is just rotting away in his tower?
He's gone. He leaves for days without a word. The text tells us he is deep in the catacombs below the city.
Hunting a creature named Ezekiel.
Yes, on Ciro's orders. Ciro told him to find this thing, Ezekiel. So Grayson is down there in the dark, fighting for his life, screaming for his friend Mela to help him.
And that's where the source material leaves us. Grayson fighting in the dark and Nell fading away in the tower.
It is a massive, massive cliffhanger.
So let's synthesize this a little bit. What are the big takeaways here for you?
I think the central theme has to be the definition of monster.
Oh, for sure. Who is the real monster in this story?
Is it the worm inside Nell? The text suggests the worm is dangerous, yes, but it's also her protector. It literally saved Grayson's life at one point.
Is it Cyril?
Cyril's the classic monster. He's refined, he's civilized on the surface, but he is utterly predatory. He eats souls to stay young. It doesn't get much more monstrous than that.
Oh, or is it the Crowthers?
That's the most uncomfortable question, isn't it? They're the protagonists of their own story. They're fighting for their mother. But to the Wickthorns, and especially to Nell, they are the villains. They are kidnappers and torturers.
It creates this incredible moral ambiguity. You find yourself wanting Grayson to succeed because you feel for Jet and his mom, but you also want Nell to just burn the whole house down because she's an innocent victim in all this.
And that tension is what makes that Alvarak bond so compelling. Can it be broken? More importantly, should it be broken? If they break the bond, do they lose the only thing that might actually save them both in the end?
Ciro asked Grayson a final question that really, really sticks with me. He looked at him and says, "What choice will you make?"
That is the pivotal question for the entire series, I think. Will he choose the past, his mother, his family duty, or will he choose the future, Nell, the woman who is his other half?
And right now, it looks like he's choosing the past. He's choosing his family. But at what cost?
The cost might be Nell's life, or her soul. If she is sold at that ball, she is gone forever.
It's heavy stuff. But it's also fascinating to see how the magic system, the biology of the worm, the physics of the swifting, the magical law of the contracts, how all of that underpins this incredible emotional drama.
It is a very grounded fantasy in a weird way.
Mm-hmm.
The magic has rules.
Right.
And it has consequences. The shadow link that Jet has isn't just a cool superpower, it's a debilitating curse. The Tamer bond isn't just romance, it's a chain.
Well, I, for one, cannot wait to see how Grayson gets out of this one, if he even can. It seems impossible.
Indeed, the walls are closing in on him from every single side.
That's all the time we have for this deep dive into Caged by Fallen Crows Part 1. It is a wild ride of trauma, magic, and just impossible choices.
A great reminder that sometimes doing the right thing for your family means doing the absolute wrong thing to everyone else.
Oof. That is a thought to leave you with. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.